Chairs No Waiting, episode number 755, Mayberry Days 2023 Visitor Reports. Two Chairs No Waiting is brought to you by the folks over at weaversdepartmentstore.com. Drop by over at Weavers, a lot of brand new items, guys. We got the Mayberry Rerun Watcher's Guide Season 2 by Spirit Walker. Man, that's something you don't want to miss out on. Go check that out. Brand new book. We also have a Mayberry Sheriff's Bag Christmas ornament. Badge, not bag. Christmas ornament, a deputy badge ornament, as well as the entire state of North Carolina with the word Mayberry on it and a location of Mayberry. Go and check out all the great new items they have over at Weavers. Two Chairs No Waiting is also brought to you by donations from listeners just like you. The executive producer of episode number 755 is Terry Neiman, and the Patreon patrons of the week are Bob and Pat Mundy. Hello, everybody. I'm Alan Newsom, the host here at Two Chairs No Waiting. It's always fun to spend time talking about the Andy Griffith Show, and this is no exception because we're going to be talking or hearing from you with your reports about how Mayberry Days went for you. Because, as I said last week, I was really looking for reports from all the folks that attended because I have a view of how Mayberry Days goes, but it's from a tribute artist view. And while that's good, I'll be glad to share that with you. I really like to hear from you guys who get to absorb it from the outside and just be there and have a great time. So we're going to kick off this one. So if you're watching the video, the video version of the podcast, you'll get to see this, because we have a great report coming in from Cody. So I'm going to throw it over to him. So Cody, take it away.
Hey everybody, this is South Carolina Cody, and I just wanted to provide a quick report on my experience at this year's Mayberry Days. Once again, another successful Mayberry Days is come and gone for 2023. This was the 34th annual Mayberry Days. Hard to believe that this great celebration has been going on for so long for a show that's been on 63 years. There's so much to do in this small little town that it's really hard to do everything, whether that's enjoying a fried pork chop sandwich at Snappy Lunch or any of the other great restaurants, shopping along the stores on Main Street, or taking a squad car tour down at Wally's. Among the highlights for me this year was attending Randy Turner's lectures, one on the 40 Acres Backlot and another one entitled The Enduring Appeal of the Andy Griffith Show. Randy did a great job, and I think everyone who attended would say the same thing. I learned so much, as I always do, from Randy. This year we were honored to have a few first-timer guests at Mayberry Days. 2 children and a grandson of Harvey Bullock. Now, Harvey wrote 31 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. It was so great to have them with us, and especially to hear from them at the Mayor's Proclamation Friday morning and during Saturday afternoon's lecture by Neil Brower. We got to hear so much about Harvey's life, how he grew up, and then Carrie and Andy's experiences with their dad growing up, and seeing a few highlights from some of maybe Harvey's best known episodes of the Andy Griffith Show. The parade looked a little bit different this year on Saturday morning as, well, we had some weather playing a factor, but that didn't stop the fun from happening. Pull out the umbrellas and the rain jackets, and it's still the Mayberry Days parade. And we can't forget about Colonel Tim's Talent Time Saturday night, capping off this fun weekend. I can't tell you how much I laughed during Colonel Tim's, as I always do. The tribute artist provides such great entertainment, and I appreciate all the hard work that goes into making Colonel Tim's what it is. All that said, I think it's pretty clear that Mayberry Days is one of my favorite weekends out of the year, if not the favorite weekend. There's just so much fun to be had, not to mention the great friendships that are made and continued. I love seeing the friends that I've made over the last several years coming to Mayberry Days and making some new ones, because we all have one common bond, the Andy Griffith Show, and an immense love and passion for it, and keeping it alive. And that's what we all should do, keep it alive. It's been going for 63 years now, and I think we can easily keep it going another 63. So with that, that's my 2023 Mayberry Days report, and hopefully we'll see you up there next year.
Thank you so much, Cody. Wow, he did a great report. If you got to watch it, you got to see pictures and everything during it. So thank you so much. Now we have somebody wrote in, so we'll do this. This is from Roger. He wrote in and he said, I just listened to the live show last week, as he's talking about last Monday night when I recorded it, and how you talked about Mayberry Days and how we are all connected to it through the love of the Andy Griffith Show, whether we can be there or not. I got emotional because honestly, while Mayberry Days was going on, I was thinking of you and the festivities and thinking how wonderful it must be. Your podcast is my connection to all things Mayberry other than watching the show, and I'm truly grateful for everything. Even from Okinawa, the spirit of Mayberry is present in my life because of your efforts and the wonderful show that we all love. I can't call, so I'm sending you this heartfelt message. Thank you, Roger. So, wow, from Okinawa. He's actually in our chat room tonight, I do believe. And so it is so nice to hear things like that, and that we're reaching out here from the podcast to folks all over the place. And thank you so much for taking time to write and tell me that story. That is absolutely amazing. All right, so now we're going to go hear one of our voicemails, and this one is from Rob. So, Rob, take it away.
Hey, Alan and Jan. This is Rob from Reidsville, North Carolina. Just wanted to comment about how much we enjoyed coming to Mayberry Days 2023. We enjoyed speaking with you and other tribute artists that were at the event, and a couple of moments that struck me kind of funny. In parade, Alan, you came up to me. I showed you my bald head, and you said something about a finder's fee, extra charge or something. And my favorite moment, though, was Colonel Harvey coming by, and I just threw at him a Aunt B's line. I said, Colonel, what time do the Indians eat supper? And he immediately went into character, 5:36, it doesn't matter. But we had a great time. I just wanted to tell everybody how much we enjoyed Colonel Tim's talent show of all the Mayberry Days we've been to. We've never been to that show, and I want to just encourage everybody, if you go back to Mayberry Days, go to Colonel Tim's. We've been missing out. It's the great culmination of the Mayberry Days event, and we thoroughly enjoyed it and were entertained with all the talent and skits and everything that happened. I'm a child of the 60s, and some of my favorite memories are my whole family, my two brothers, my two sisters, mom and dad. We all watched the Andy Griffith Show together. One of the very few shows we all sat in the same room and watched TV with. And I have to admit that when you ended the program with my hometown, I kind of swelled up with emotion, and in my mind's eye, I was back in my home in the 60s with my family once again. We've lost a brother, sister, and mom and dad, so that was a very sentimental moment. I tell you, you can't get any other feeling like Mayberry Days. It's just wonderful. Just wanted to call and say thanks for all the great work with you and the tribute artists and everybody that keeps the spirit of Mayberry alive. Y'all have a great day, and hope to see y'all next year. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Rob. Wow, we really appreciate that. Thanks for taking time to tell us about that. Well, the tribute artists work really hard to try to put together that show on Saturday night, kind of the big finale kind of the Mayberry Days weekend. There's still stuff that happens on Sunday. They have a Bible study session, or chapel, they call it. But Saturday night, the Colonel Tim's is a big wrap up, and it's always a challenge because I think I told during the show, I told everybody, I think, that 25 minutes before the show started, we still had no idea who was going to be performing during the Colonel Tim's talent time. So we're putting together the show back there on the fly, basically. So it's kind of like, whose line is it anyway? So it's I've definitely mentioned that here on the podcast. So thank you again, Rob, for calling in. So let's go back to our written in questions. This is from Steve. He says, hello, Alan. I'm writing from West Virginia, and I appreciate folks like you and Jim Clark and David Browning, and I even go back to Phil Lee. Phil Lee was Ernest T. Bass, and he is Ernest T. Bass in the Mayberry Man movie. If you watch that movie, he is our Ernest T. He says, I've done thanks for all the things you've done for the Andy Griffith Show fans over these many years. I used to go to Mayberry Days in the 90s regularly, but life sort of got in the way, and I didn't make it down there. Didn't make it, he said. I did make it, though, this year on Saturday for a couple of hours in 2022. But I still try to keep up via the Two Chairs No Waiting and the bulletin board. And I got to catch tonight's show. That was last week's show. You do a wonderful job. I'd like to, so he's basically talking about donating to the podcast. So if you'd like to do that, I'm always talking about folks from the Patreon and stuff. You can go to our website, twochairsnowaiting.com, and you can donate and help with the show. And he attached a photograph of way back in the day. So if you're watching this, you'll be able to see this, of me and the Mayberry Days Parade. And this must have been about 1994. Because this would have had to have been almost my first year. Because I started doing Floyd in 1994. So this has got to have been that first year, because, wow, I look young, and I was wearing khaki pants in this photo. But it's during the Mayberry Days Parade. Anyway, he said, thanks again for your efforts and keep up the great work. So thank you, Steve, for writing in and taking time to let us know some of your thoughts. All right, back to the phone. Wow, that was neat. Back to the phone lines. Let's go back to the phone lines is what that must have meant. Then hear from Tom. So, Tom, take it away.
Hello, Alan. This is Tom Vogel calling from Ohio. Just listened to podcast 754, another great one, of course. First of all, just wanted to thank Lydia for the essay that she wrote. Could not have said it better about Mayberry Days. My friend and I, Doug Whitus, have been coming there probably the last 10 years, and it never ceases to amaze us. It's the most fun we have all year. And just a little bit about what we do. Our experience is, of course, the parade, which is always awesome. A little damp this year, but the spirits were high and the smiles were wide. We also attended Colonel Tim's show on Saturday night, which probably was the funniest we've seen since we've been coming. Tell all your buds that and the cast that they did a fantastic job. Also, we generally walk the street uptown, go into all the shops. We've been coming long enough now to, the Mayberry effect is all over, and even the store owners and their employees recognize us when we walk in the door. It's really a family place. We enjoy talking with Randy Turner and Spirit Walker. We run into them all the time. I consider them my friends now. They recognize us just walking down the street and different things like that. We usually make a quick run up to the Mayberry Trading Post, which is only a 17-mile drive, but it's so beautiful to drive up there and to visit the store and things up there. Wonderful things to do. We travel down to Pilot Mountain, walk up the hill and take several pictures. We don't do everything the same every single year, but we must visit a lot of things each time, and we love shopping in all the stores, and a shout out to all of the dealers there. Are just wonderful. And to you for the podcast and for the movie and just everything Mayberry. We really appreciate it and have enjoyed being a part of it, as well as being in the Mayberry Man movie, which we were extras there. That was the time of our life. So anyways, that's a little bit about Mayberry Days, what we do. There's thousands of things to do, and we do something different every year, but it's never dull moment. So I wish everybody could show up. And thanks again, Alan, and the best of everything to you.
Wow, thank you, Tom. Thanks for taking time to write or call that in. We did have a little bit of rain during the parade. We've already heard folks talk about it. It did rain, but it was luckily it didn't rain like sideways or anything. So with the umbrella, you were in pretty good shape. And I ended up I had on a rain jacket before the parade, but I took it off and just carried it with me, and I carried an umbrella. But I was fine as Floyd, and I walked the whole parade route. I didn't get overly wet, and basically it cleared up a good bit after that for a while, and then there was a pretty heavy rain. I don't remember, somewhere around 12 o'clock or somewhere in that time frame. But there was people still all over town, and everybody just took shelter for a few minutes, and then it cleared off. And it was basically a very, very damp weekend, but not so much so that you couldn't move around and do things. Colonel Tim's, thank you for everybody that's already said they really enjoyed Colonel Tim's. Colonel Tim's this year was made up mostly of our Mayberry tribute artists. We did a lot of skits this year because we didn't have too many people actually show up. So we had the cast members that were there, and special guests, as well as the Mayberry Idol winners. There were 3 of them, and there weren't too many other participants. So the tribute artists got to do a lot of stuff this year. So thanks to everybody that came to Colonel Tim's. I do encourage you to come to that if you get an opportunity. All right, next up we're going to hear from Stephen, and he says, "Hi, Alan. I'm in my 30s, and we watched the Andy Griffith Show and Nick at Night growing up. Since then, I only watch every once in a while. However, my mom and I attended Mayberry Days in 2021 and 22. It was an incredible time. People are so much nicer in Mayberry than they are in daily life. Plus, I didn't hear any swearing in the public square, not to mention that you and the other tribute artists are so much fun. In the last year, I've gotten married, and now I have a baby on the way. I don't know that I'll ever be able to convince her to go to Mayberry Days. So I find myself recalling missing this year, and especially Colonel Tim's, the great food, and of course, all the kind people. God bless you, Stephen." So Stephen, I'm sorry you couldn't make it. And sure, you can get them to come, especially if it's a baby. You can get the baby to come because it's a baby. You can just make it come until it's so old. So you'll be able to pull that one off pretty well. So thanks for taking time. So we have another call. Now this is from Mark. Now Mark's actually called in a few times, but you haven't heard him yet. He's going to mention it's his 3rd call. You'll hear some of his calls probably next week because they're not really related to Mayberry Days, but this one kind of ties into it. Plus he performs a little bit for us. So let's hear this one from Mark.
Hello, Mr. Newsom. This is Mark Morris from Kansas City. I've called you about 3 times now, telling you about how I've enjoyed watching your podcast of 2 Chairs, No Waiting. It's a big dream to make big money. You're really good at what you do. I tell it to you every time. Just to be silly, just to be funny, I wanted to do for you today an impression of George Lindsay doing Goober, doing Cary Grant. So I'm going to do 3 impressions at one time. So I hope you're ready for this. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Judy, 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 Judy. I hope that made you laugh. Thanks for all your efforts and your hard work. I love your documentaries on Mayberry Days and everything that pertains to that. Thank you for the joy and the funny things you share and your insights with your trip with you, yourself, and your wife. And that you share those things with all of us makes us feel like we're right there with you. Hopefully someday I'll get to meet you if I can travel. Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mark. That's nice. I mean, great impression. Good job. Yeah. And that's what we do at Mayberry Days. Obviously, we do that kind of stuff. We have a Goober and a Gomer, and we got all these tribute artists that do that kind of stuff for everybody, and it always makes everybody smile. He mentioned the movie, the documentary that's been mentioned. We were on the documentary, The Mayberry Effect by Chris Hudson. Definitely something that I would love for you to catch up with. It's a great thing. You can watch it free on several services. Go out there and look for it. Tubi is one of them. I know you can watch it for free on. But it's a great combination with Mayberry Man, the movie that I was fortunate enough to be a part of. I had a lot of people at Mayberry Days, and I want to thank all of you that came up to me and said they had watched the Mayberry Man movie, and they were complimenting me on it. I had at least 1 or 2 people, couples actually, that said, wow, we watched the Mayberry Man movie and we didn't think real events like that happen, but we saw the movie and they talk about Mayberry Fest and we're like, I wonder if there's something like that. They found out about Mayberry Days because they looked it up because of the movie. they looked up Mayberry events and found out about Mayberry Days, and they came to Mayberry Days this year. So the movies, the documentary, The Mayberry Effect, which was mentioned earlier, as I said, and then the movie drive people now to come to these Mayberry events. And that was our desire, to get more people involved in the Mayberry family so that they could enjoy themselves and just have fun like we do that are able to go to these events. All right, so we got another written in message. This is from Matt, and he says, Alan, thanks for all you do for Mayberry Days and for everything Mayberry. I'm a Barney Fife impersonator from Don Knott's hometown in Morgantown, West Virginia, and I had fun at Mayberry Days. It was my second trip to the event. I walked in the parade near James Andyish Dotson and Phil Leonard Blush Bernard. He walked in the parade with us. A lot of folks, there's lots of people show up to be in the parade, and they dress up as characters and do things like that. Matt says that Greg Shell was very nice to meet. I visited with people down on the street and visited with Brett Harris, who lives in Mount Airy and is the local Barney Fife person. So if you ever see him in Mount Airy, Brett dresses up as Barney. He doesn't try to impersonate Barney particularly, but he dresses up in a uniform and he goes around and gets his picture made with people. He's a great guy. Matt says, I went on the ghost tour on Saturday night and the tour person scared me. I felt like Don Knotts in the Haunted House episode, or maybe from Ghost and Mr. Chicken. Everyone was so friendly in Mount Airy, and I enjoyed how all the impersonators work together. So thank you, Matt. That was his experience there. So we got another call. This one is from Chris. So let's hear from Chris.
Hey, Alan. This is Chris from Morrisville, North Carolina. Went to Mayberry Days for the first time this year. Just was able to go on Friday. Actually met you after the trivia contest when you met with some folks and took some pictures. Boy, those trivia questions in the final were really hard. Anyway, we had a great time. We also got to go down to Wally's and meet Court and Stark Howell, and even saw Randy Turner on the street. You could recognize that voice anywhere. We sure plan to go back next year and explore even more of Mayberry Days. Thanks for what you do. Really enjoy the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we did meet. One of the things we did was gather on the hill right after the trivia contest and took some pictures of all the folks that are internet chapter related of some kind, either listen to the podcast or members of the chapters that are online or maybe at the iMayberry community. And we went around the room there, or not the room, but the hill, and everybody introduced themselves, and we took a group photo that he was referring to. So I'm so glad you were able to do that. I'm glad you enjoyed your time while you were there with us, and definitely encourage people to come to Mayberry Days. Come and experience it. Try to plan to be there Friday and Saturday. Those are the two big days, and do all you can. I know a lot of people come and just go to the parade. There's a lot of people that live in the general area of Mount Airy, and they will come and only go to pieces of the show. And, I think, while that's fun, I think they miss out on all the experience, but it's your vacation. You need to do what you want to do as part of the vacation. You can't really mess up. All right. So let's go on to the next message I've got here. And this one is from Dick Villard, Goober Fife. So Goober Fife wrote in to say, Goober Fife here. My Mayberry Days was filled by a big surprise of being awarded the Mayberry Friendship Award. It's a humbling honor to be a part of that prestigious group of former awardees. I stand before you a humble man, filled with great humbleness and gratitude and appreciation. Always Mayberry, Dick Goober Fife Villard. So Dick is in our chat room, I believe. Congratulations to him on winning the Mayberry Friendship Award. Now, the Friendship Award is presented each year by the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club to people who are friends to Mayberry. And Dick has definitely been that. He and the Mayberry cronies have taken it upon themselves to begin making Mayberry-related items that they donate to the silent auction. There's a silent auction every year during Mayberry Days, and they create all kinds of really cool things that you can go and bid on, and all the money that's raised goes to support the Surrey Arts Council and Mayberry Day. So there's all kinds of donations of store-bought items, but things that people make, like paintings, artwork. Dick did a really cool one this year. It will look like a diorama of Myers Lake that I think got a good bit of money. And it's a lot of fun to go up there and support Surrey Arts while also taking home something really cool with you. So thank you, Dick. You are definitely a friend and definitely deserved to get that award. So thank you so much for all that you've done. Let's see what's next. Let's go to another voicemail. We got this one from Carl. So Carl, let's hear from you.
Hello, Alan. This is Carl. Carl with the Bailey's Bad Boy Redemption chapter. And I wanted to point out that this year at Mayberry Days, I took my deck of playing cards that I bought through Weavers on the Mayberry Man and tried to get as many signatures of the actors, the tribute artists, starting out with you and Jan there at Snappy's Lunch early Thursday morning. And from Karen Knotts to Eric Lowry, they couldn't have been more gracious when I approached them to sign the cards. And I think, like you said last podcast, that they need to be recognized for the fun and the enjoyment they bring to the Mayberry Days event. And may God bless you and Jan. Bye.
Thank you, Carl. Wow, that I tell you, that is so true. The tribute artist, I've mentioned this before, the tribute artists show up at Mayberry Days. They're not getting paid to be there, guys. They're there because they're fans just like you and me. They come and they dress up and they work all weekend to make the town of Mayberry feel like Mayberry, the town of Mount Airy, to feel like Mayberry. And those tribute artists are amazing, amazing people. And definitely please go up and thank them for all they do to bring that Mayberry spirit to all these events, because they are amazing. And I appreciate them so much and all the hard work that they put in on their own dime. In general, they're there paying their own way and doing that to entertain us all. So, wow, what great people they are. So thank you, Carl. Thank you for that. Okay, I got another written in message, and this one is from Mary Ellen. So Mary Ellen says, wait a second, I think I've got a picture of her. So if you're watching, you'll be able to see this. She says, I just left Mayberry Days and my head is swirling. Last year was our first Mayberry Days, so we didn't quite get our toes wet. But this year, we cannonballed into the deep end. We loved every minute and we'll be back next year. Upon my return home, I vowed to study all 8 seasons of the Andy Griffith Show. Addresses, names, brands of food, patterns on clothes, or actors who played parts that never speak. Just so that I can, of course, win the trivia contest next year. Taking a break from my studies today, I watched the Mayberry Effect documentary, and it was good. Then I rewatched Mayberry Man, and I saw at the end that it shows who Chris Stone's dad is. I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if it really was Mr. Swamp? And when I looked up to see who plays Mr. Swamp, I found out nobody can identify him. I can't even believe I've missed this one. Please enlighten me, Mary Ellen. So, so I have a picture of her. If you're watching the video version, you'll see they're together. They have shirts on that. It's got Sheldon on the front, and it says "Drink water." Remember, he's the one took Opie's milk money away. It was cool shirts. I don't think I'd ever seen any like that, but they had them made. So, Mr. Swamp, I'll go ahead and answer that. Nobody knows who played Mr. Swamp. We have asked everybody. There's nobody left to ask that is living that we know of. We have asked Andy. We've asked We've asked Dick Link. We've asked Bruce Bilson. We've asked everybody. Jim Clark or somebody else has asked all the actors. They all remember Mr. Schwump. They remember the man, but nobody knows what his actual name is. So that is this nobody knows. And so that's still a great mystery. If you haven't watched Mayberry Man, watch the movie, and at the very end, stay through the credits just a little bit, and you'll see what she was talking about when she refers to Mr. Schwump and what connection he might have to the movie. So check it out. So we were kind of hoping that at least according to the Howells, that they could be sued by the family of whatever the man's name is that actually did play Mr. Schwump. We don't know his name. So that's where that comes from. All right, we have another voicemail, and this one is a special one from, actually, I'll hold off on that. I'll read you one more, and then we'll read that one, because this one's a special one. So we'll read this, and this is from Tony Radford. This is a message I got. It says, I wanted to say how I feel about going to Mayberry Days, and it is simple. For me, it's coming home to the best visit ever with my family and friends. It is simply the best place to be with people who care about each other. You made me reflect on all of this, and now I look up on my wall and I see over the years pictures with my kids by a truck at Wally's during Mayberry Days over the years, and seeing me in my 30s, my 40s, and 50s. Wow. I know just how blessed I am to have family and friends in Mayberry. Thank you for doing what you do, Alan, and I hope you know how much we appreciate you and your family. Take care, and tell everyone that Tony says hey. So Tony says hey, everybody. So he sent a picture, and he has pictures on his wall of he and his kids taken by the truck that sits outside of Wally service station. If you saw Mayberry Man, the movie, it's the same truck that Chris Stone and I walk across in front of Wally's to talking and end up in front of, and he's leaning against it and I'm talking to him. It's the same exact truck. And Tony's got pictures. He got 6 different pictures. Well, 5 pictures of his kids, and then another picture of the Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club gathering, hanging right there on his wall. And he took a picture and sent that to us. So thank you, Tony. It's always great to hear these stories about how the Andy Griffith Show, look, they've been going all these years. He's got pictures from when he was 30, 40. Now he's in his 50s. And I do too. So of him there at Mayberry Days, along with his kids who started off very little and now they're grown. They're grown. So how cool is that? So as I mentioned, our next caller is a special one because he was one of the special guests at Mayberry Days. And what a great guy he is. I'll talk about him a little after it's over, but let's hear from this fella. You might remember him as Howie, Opie's buddy, but his name's Dennis Rush. So let's hear from Dennis.
Hey, Alan, Dennis Rush calling from San Diego. Just to say a big thank you to you and Jan and all of the wonderful family in Mount Airy for a great, great weekend at Mayberry Days. It was so nice to catch up with old friends like Keith, Dixie, Dreama, Karen, Ronnie, and Dick, and meet new friends like the Bullock family. Seeing all of the tribute artists like Christy, Eric, Bo, Chris, Terry, Mike, Ted, Michelle, Tim, Phil, and Michael was a real treat once again. Only one issue was, once again, it was just way too fast. Big thanks to the Surrey Arts team, especially Tanya, Terry, Abigail, Dixie, Madeline, and Heather for all of their efforts. I even got a few minutes with Spirit Walker and even had dinner at the Loaded Goat. I think you said it perfectly. We all were good tired from so much fun. Once again, thank you for all of your time and efforts, making it a fun weekend for all of us. Please stay well and travel safely.
Wow, thank you, Dennis. Wow, it's always Dennis is such a nice guy. He's been coming to Mayberry for several years now, and has definitely got the Mayberry spirit in him. and loves meeting the fans and just talking and visiting. And he will be on the podcast. I keep telling him I'm going to get him on the podcast, and I'm just lazy because it takes planning on my part to be able to make sure I have guests. And that's always, I'm usually not that, I don't plan that far ahead. And I should say that all these voicemails you've heard, sometimes they repeat themselves a little. There's a repeat, like a skip. That's not them. That's something to do with the software I'm using. So just so you know, it's not them repeating themselves. It's a little glitch in my software. But Dennis is such a wonderful guy. He has done so much just to make Mayberry folks realize how special the people that appeared on that show are. So thank you, Dennis. Guys, we do a lot of work to pull Mayberry Days together and all the Mayberry events. We work hard. So when you go to any of these events, the people who put on the shows, the organizers, you just don't really realize how much work is going into the background. But one of the things, the tribute artists, it's always been our goal, these special guests, these people who were actually on the Andy Griffith Show, it's always been our job to do whatever we can to help them feel like they're having a great time and to make them look as good as possible. So it is very nice to hear that Dennis appreciates just all the hard work that goes into these events and what we do. I'm not surprised that he does. He's a great guy. We had so many guests there, guys. I think that was my last message that I got. I think I didn't miss anybody. If you didn't get a chance to write in, still feel free to call in and leave a message. We'll play it over the next few weeks and months here. We'll get it done. But it's just, Mayberry Days is a really special event. And so are so many of the other ones. Scottsburg, Indiana is having a new event, or a second year event coming up next year. So go and check that out. Mayberry comes to Scottsburg. You got Granville, Tennessee. There's a great event there coming up as well next year. Just check out the event calendar at imayberry.com and you'll see all of what to do. Or you can go over to Weaver's Department Store, and there's a Weaver's newsletter, and that will get emailed to you every other month, basically. There's going to be one coming out sometime in October, and then another one in November. And then we'll be on a schedule that goes November, January, every other month like that. We're trying to get onto that schedule. Currently, the schedule's a little off, but since Christmas is coming up, Weaver's is going to hit twice in the next month. It'll come out twice, October and then November, early November, mid-November as well. So, folks, that's a great way to keep up with the things going on around Mayberry, the events and stuff. So you can always check out the event calendar at imayberry.com. You can sign up to the Weaver's newsletter and get it delivered to your inbox. So you would see it there as well, just as reminders, so you don't miss out on all this amazing fun we have. Well, folks, this show has been a little longer than normal, so we're not going to play any trivia this week. We're just going to end on a great note here of just how much fun we've had during Mayberry Days. It is always a pleasure to meet all of our folks that are able to attend. We had a wedding, actual wedding this year at Mayberry Days. We had, of course, the Mayberry Trivia contest. I don't know if you've ever seen the Mayberry Trivia contest, but it's a huge thing with all of we have a preliminary round where everybody qualifies to be in the trivia contest. There's just so many things that go on during Mayberry Days. And
tell them you're Pink Floyd.
Oh, no, I didn't. So if you're watching the video, you might notice I have a pink shirt on, and I told everybody, I'm going to be Pink Floyd tonight. So, no, I did not tell them. Thank you, Mrs. Weaver. So for those of you that are just listening, you don't know what we're talking about, but I have a pink shirt on. So I'm Pink Floyd. But we had a great time during Mayberry Days. It's always a great event. Getting to see all the folks that are there and just be a part of that with them and see them gathering on the hill with the folks that are from the internet chapter, so you can start putting faces to the nicknames that you use online. That's always fun. This year we didn't have a Andy Griffith Show Rerun Watchers Club meeting, but we'll look into that. Maybe we can throw that back in some way. Hey guys, if you can't wait until Mayberry Days to go back to Mount Airy, come with us to the Mayberry meetup in July. So anyway, there's so many things, guys, that I could tell you stories and things about. I was backstage. I got my picture made with Dreama Denver, Bob Denver's wife, and Joanna Atkins. I got a picture made together, and my wife was right back there with me as I was. These ladies one under each arm. So, and then I don't remember. I think Dreama said it. Said, "Let's kiss him on the cheek and do that." So I'm like, "That's great." And of course, they messed up. We had to do it 2 or 3 times. That was terrible. But we had a great time just getting to be with all these great people, and that's all backstage at Colonel Tim's. We got to do some stuff like that. Dick Villard won his award. He wasn't at Colonel Tim's, but we announced it at Colonel Tim's and gave it to him. And there's just so many great moments that were had during Mayberry Days. Folks, that is all I've got for us tonight. I appreciate everybody that took time to call in or write in. Thank you so much for that. I hope everybody enjoyed hearing from all of our fellow Mayberry fans. I know I did. So I would love to hear from you more. You can give me a call at 888-684-8415, or you can go over to twocairsnowaiting.com, click on the contact button up at the top, the menu, and it'll give you all kinds of ways to get in touch with me. Lots of different things you can do there to get in touch. Folks, thank you for all you do in helping keep the Mayberry spirit alive. Go out there and watch Mayberry Man and the Mayberry Effect and of course, the Andy Griffith Show. And we'll see you next time right here on Two Chairs.